Silas is the newest hero in BTD6, and we're going to see how good he is. To start, he's ice themed, can be placed on water or land. You can put land monkeys on his ice platform. He can pop leads and camos right away, but can't pop whites or purples. His attacks slow balloons afterward, similar to permafrost. He works very well with ice monkeys, like you can get an extra tier 5 upgrade, and much more. We're going to do 3 things before judging how good he is. Complete a chimps game with only him and ice monkeys to see all his synergies. Try a few 2 TCs, and end it with a real strategy to get a feel for him. Because Silas costs $920 on chimps, we had to start off with an ice monkey in the top right of resort. Luckily, making him a 1-1-0 was enough to carry us all the way to round 13, where we could afford our hero. At level 1, Silas attacks with magical ice. Bloons hit by this attack get rimmed, which means they partially freeze and move much slower. If he hits a balloon that's already rimmed, he freezes them in place for a short time, and Silas does extra damage to rimmed and frozen balloons. At level 2, any ice monkey in his radius creates an orbiting ice shard anytime they attack, increasing their DPS. Because of this, I got another ice monkey in the small square, but round 22 is full of white balloons. At this point, Silas can't pop them unless you use his level 3 ability, which gives him the normal damage type for a short time, and it's on a short cooldown, letting us use it here and round 23. On top of this, Silas starts placing down ice walls that freeze and push back balloons that touch them, which bought us just enough time to beat 23. I was saving up money to see if we'd have to spend it on something important, but in the mid-20s, we pulled the trigger and upgraded our ices. The first became a 3-2-0 ice shards, and the other a 2-2-0. At this point, Silas hit level 5, where he makes white balloons less resistant to cold attacks, similar to how Striker makes black balloons less resistant to explosives. This made us much less dependent on his frostbite ability, and we can focus on what ice monkeys we want. The first became an embrittlement, and the second an arctic wind. Silas already has a slowing aura around him, but I thought they might stack, and I want to make him a snowstorm later on anyway. But then I couldn't resist placing a new ice monkey up front. You see, at level 6, Silas can attack in range of any ice monkey, so I wanted to give him vision at the start like you would an advanced intel submarine. At first, it looked like it wasn't working because no attacks were coming from Silas, but then we noticed that his magical ice originated from the ice monkey up front, which was different and much cooler than I expected. This is where we hit our stride. Our ice monkeys and Silas were strong enough to pop the balloons quickly, and it was tough for them to get through our slowing fields. But then the Moab came. I thought it was kind of gonna march through us, but the ice walls pushed the blimp back more than I thought they would, and once he broke open, the ceramics inside were very easy to clean up. Now, we have a decision to make. Do we save up for a tier 5 ice monkey to carry us, or do we get more tier 3 ice monkeys? This seems like an easy decision as we are set up to save money, but at level 8, Silas gets extra XP for every tier 3 ice monkey you have. So before going for an expensive save up, we picked up a 204 icicles on the water. This let us crush the rest of the 40s. Nothing really made it around the small square until Moab started coming in the 50s, but even then we were never at risk of losing. In fact, we never even used Silas's level 7 ability, Frozen Cascade, which creates a blast of ice around him and nearby ice monkeys. We coasted to round 59, where we could afford the super brittle upgrade, adding a ton of damage to the small square. With it, the BFB and even round 63 didn't stand a chance. Before saving up for the next tier 5 ice monkey though, we got another 204 icicles for a little more XP on Silas. But the rest of the mid game was a walk in the park. We didn't have to do anything until round 79, where we made this new ice monkey and icicle impale, just in time for the fortified BFBs and ZOMGs. Before breaking open the big green blimp, we filled the rest of the square with a new embrittlement, since the +1 damage can stack with the +4 from the super brittle and will happily take the extra XP. With it, we hit level 13, where Silas lets us get a second tier 5 ice monkey that we already have. What I didn't know was that we also get 25% off all tier 5 ices from here on out, so I kind of wish we waited on some of our upgrades. This made the impale we got next only cost 24 grand, which we could get on around 85. I didn't really have a reason for choosing this tier 5 over the others. I just figured super brittles wouldn't stack, and I didn't want to have to spam abilities with 2 absolute zeros, and the single target damage would probably help out the most. But what's nice is that Silas's slowing aura affects blimps now, and our ice monkeys are making more ice shards per attack. Round 94 was a fun one, as it's easily the most RBE we've seen, but holy cow do we have some slows. The ZOMGs at the start of the round were basically immobile, and once they broke down to BFBs, we popped them pretty quick. But that brings us to the dreaded round 95. Luckily, we're kind of set up to destroy it. Our double Icicle Impale countered this round pretty hard, so the 30 DDTs were not an issue. From here, we crushed the rest of the 90s while I picked up some more snowstorms for extra abilities, slows, and vision for Silas. But the bad did not seem to care. It slowly swam through our defenses, not breaking open until the very end of the track, and some Bloons got through. So we tried again, but this time we added an embrittlement and spammed Cascade for some extra damage. This broke it open slightly earlier, but the biggest thing we did was save his level 10 ability, Frozen Burial, until the bad broke open. This freezes the screen and fills the track with ice walls, which gave us just enough time to beat chimps with only ice monkeys. Next up, we have some 2 TCs, but I'll keep this part short. We tried pairing Silas with the Pirate Lord, Golden Justice, and Master Bomber. I couldn't get past round 96 with the Pirate Lord, round 62 with Desperado, and a measly 49 with the Ninja. I thought it'd be easier since Silas can see camos and pop leads, but because he's too expensive to start with, can't pop purples or whites, and lacks the popping power you need without the help of ice monkeys, I wasn't able to get a new TC in my time with him. But maybe I overlooked an easy combo. And finally, we have to try out Silas in a real strategy before raiding him. I was deciding between a few maps when a thought crossed my mind. Does Silas freeze on Glacial Trail? So I booted up a quick game and let it run for 10 rounds, and I can confirm that Silas gets the cold immunity that ice monkeys do on this map. I literally just got my black border here after putting it off for a year and a half, and all I had to do was wait 2 more weeks to have a less annoying time. Anyway, we settled on off the coast and did the classic dart sub start, building the sub into a 001 for that extra attack speed, and it was enough to get Silas on round 13. I made sure to place him on the water so we could buff him with a reactor later on, but also close enough to the track so that his slowing aura would reach the balloons. He didn't pair the best with our current monkeys though, as neither of them can pop Frozens, so I picked up a 100 sniper to help out. This let us save up a good amount of money, which we used to buy a Wall of Fire wizard. I figured his fire would go crazy with the balloons moving slower, especially if Silas froze them in the right spot or if an ice wall appeared right behind the wall of fire. This combo let us easily make it to the Dragon's Breath upgrade and follow it up with a Jungle Drums village. But the one thing we're missing is single target damage. That seems to be Silas's weak point. So we started upgrading our sniper, picking up large caliber and even faster firing for round 40. But the Moab made me nervous. We didn't even break it open until after the wall of fire, but then we used Frozen Cascade on the ceramics inside and they all vanished. I was not expecting that. Without having to worry about Moabs for a while, we upgraded the sub to a 401 reactor to give Silas shorter cooldowns and decamo everything for our sniper. This should beat the rest of the 40s, so we went back to getting more single target damage, upgrading the sniper to a semi-auto to break open the blimps in the 50s. But then I was torn. Do we continue upgrading him to an elite defender, or do I push the boundaries by getting an energizer? I think either would be fine, but I wanted to see an early level 20 Silas. So as we were popping the BFB, we upgraded the reactor to a 501. This will handle every ceramic rush, so we went back to the sniper and picked up the elite defender in the 70s. This was actually cooking, especially since Silas's aura now slows blimps and his ice walls got better. But around 74, Silas hit level 13, and it's time to get a tier 5 ice monkey. And what's better than an absolute 0? This is already meta right now, as the energizer makes this cooldown so short. But with me placing the ice in Silas's range, I'm not sure if it counts as a land or water tower. Either way, a 250 will be a great addition to our defense. And with our hero's discount, he only costs us 19 grand, giving us so much to work with. I mean, we got him before round 80, and the ZOMG did not make it very far. But I wanted to get Silas to level 20 faster, so we picked up 2 more ice monkeys for the extra XP. The first became a 204 icicles, and the second a snowstorm. But we had a lot of money when making the second one, and I couldn't resist getting a second absolute 0. I figured getting 2 super brittles wouldn't work great with our setup, and 2 impales aren't needed. But because he's so cheap and we have an energizer, I bought the upgrade and started spamming their abilities. It was so fast that we didn't even need an impale, so I kinda wish we went something else instead of that icicles. What we did get was primary mentoring to see how fast we could spam these abilities, and it was quick enough that we had to wait longer than the cooldown for the game to let us use it again. But we have an incredible amount of slows and stalls, so what would work great with this? The first thing that came to mind was some knockback in Moab presses, but I don't think we actually need that. The other idea was a perma spike, as we can drag these rounds out with our freezes. So we built one in the back end of the village and buffed it with an alchemist. This save up was super easy, as even the mid 90s couldn't push past Silas, and we got the perma spike in time for the fortified ZOMGs of 97. I didn't think the spike pile would get that big, but the ZOMGs moved so slow once everything hit it that we had plenty of time to stack them up, making the final few rounds easy. We only let small amounts of bloons at a time hit the spikes on 98, and the fortified DDTs of 99 didn't stand a chance with all our freezes. But the bad is the main reason we got a perma spike. We knew we wouldn't break it open with our ice monkeys, but they did a surprising amount of work to the ZOMGs inside. It took them a while to get to the pile, and the bloons weren't even close to getting through, easily getting us the win. But how good is Silas? He's super easy to use, synergizes incredibly well with ice monkeys that are already really strong right now, and provides amazing stalls. So for chimps, I wouldn't put him above Brickle or Corvus, but he's much easier to use than them and definitely a top 5 hero. So you should pick him up if you have the monkey money.